that's been kicked in the nuts by fake news. Nobody knows what to believe.
I don't know what I said.
We need one maverick newsman to cut through all the noise and tell us what's really real.
I'm not that guy. Hello! Welcome to Really Real with Richie Redding, episode 8, I believe. And feeling good, having a lot of fun doing this, and have a pretty fun little show in store for you guys. It's going to be, let's face it, it's going to be a lot more poorly researched stuff that I kind of know what I'm talking about. So if you want to hear somebody paraphrase something that was already paraphrased, I am your source of information. Thank you so much for everybody who's been liking and commenting on videos and generally reaching out, even though I've told you repeatedly to stop directly reaching out to me. Your comments mean nothing unless the algorithm can also see them. But I suppose it does also warm the cockles of my heart. Is that what it is, Bobby? Is it my cockles?
I think if you have cockles that are warm, you should see a doctor.
Really? I thought it was a good thing if the cockles get warmed up on you.
I'm not sure. Lately, I've been playing the game. Is this anxiety or a heart attack?
Ooh, that's exciting for a man of your body type. That is very interesting.
It's 50-50 odds. It's the hottest game in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm betting the old gabagool's catching up with you, if anything. But, dude, so I had so today our walk, we try to walk the dog whenever it's mildly nice out. We go to Liberty State Park, and that was cut short by what started as looking like heavy fog to a full-on black smoke fire. We found out via Citizen that the Citizen app that it was in fact a landfill fire that was catching all kinds of debris, and it was about a 2-mile long puff of smoke that has pretty well enveloped Jersey City into a disgusting haze of garbage smoke. So that's been exciting.
How do you tell the difference? How do you tell the difference?
What do you mean?
Is this
a Jersey joke?
Yeah, it's just Jersey always smells like a garbage
beat it
fire.
with your Jersey jokes. Come on. There's one place when you're on the turnpike and you're going past all those chemically smokestacks and shit that it's like, all right, I'll give them this. This is disgusting, and it's actually featured in the chemicals in there. There's a documentary called Stink that I think it's on Prime Video now. Have you ever heard of this thing?
No, I haven't. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's about this guy who his wife died of cancer, and she got like all caught up with environmental stuff and like mysterious compounds that are in everyday household items. And then he had ordered pajamas for his 2 young daughters, and they smelled really weird. So he was trying to find out what the smell was. And he emailed and they never got back, and then he kept calling the manufacturer until they sent him a cease and desist order, and it unravels this crazy fucking rabbit hole that the guy goes down. But it's basically that scent is considered intellectual property, so they never have to reveal what causes the smell of something. But he got it independently tested, and it turned out that it was just covered in this flame retardant stuff that, can we still say that? It was a special flame remover, but that has like 2 or 3 known carcinogenic compounds in it. And but because they can't test smell that stuff doesn't get caught. It was convoluted as to like why they're still allowed to. I mean, the real reason is because China, but and then it goes into all this stuff. Like he winds up at the manufacturing plants, which are in Jersey for all these different colognes, and it's all like, you know, super hush, like, you know, it's like the recipe to Coke type shit. Like you'll never find out the actual chemical like structure of Polo or, you know, or like CK1 or some shit like that. But there's a kid, but like, and the thing is that these things are not like necessarily like innocent little like chemicals that are in this shit. And there's a kid in Long Island that was like deathly allergic to one second, my dog is fucking attacking the door. Lise, dog. Did that work? Sorry.
Little Pavlov experiment.
Well, keep it in. I'm pretty sure they're both ignoring me right now, but I also have a bone to pick with her. Oh my God. Is that picking up for you? Because I feel like I'm getting just like when the velociraptors are testing the perimeter.
I haven't heard anything yet.
But she's got long nails and it's just this fucking creepy slash at the door.
Let me in.
Which I have found out before in my single days that I can fuck right through that if it's a cat. I used to hook up with a girl that had a cat that would, like, when put out, it would either be like attacking your head or just nonstop like scratching at the door, and it just became like a rhythm center. It was like the metronome. It's like, yeah, you want to go faster? We can go faster, cat. Let's do this. But at any rate, there is a kid in a Long Island school that was deathly allergic to Axe body spray. In Long Island, in like mid-aughts, right? Yeah, like early 2000s. And the fucking kid would go away from school for like a month. He went into anaphylactic shock. And
oh my God.
If any, it was like the level of when of like if a peanut is opened on a plane, but it was if there's a whisper of Axe body spray in the air. So the kid was out of school for like a year, and they had like, you know, they sent pamphlets home, they sent emails, they did all this stuff. They had a fucking conference about it. Like the whole school was in the auditorium where they told him like nobody can wear Axe body spray. The kid made it through one class and went into anaphylactic shock and had to get hauled out of there. Dude, you can't stop early 2000 teenage Guidos from axing up. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, the promise of sweet puss versus this one nerd possibly dying. Beat it, nerd. Get the stretcher. But what the hell was I talking about? Oh, but yeah, I had a really neat experience in the middle of the night last night. I was, let's call it 4 a.m. I am dead asleep, and somehow this broad managed to, at first I was like, you just kicked me in the asshole. But then as it really settled in over the next few seconds, it was like, oh no, that was a ball shot too. That she sleeps like she's haunted, right? And so like I sleep like this on the bed. This is my bit that I have. The dog has this much bed. She's got that, but she decides to give the dog more room and sleep. So she's Jewish, so I am basically the Gaza Strip, right? I'm the East Bank, I'm usually just in a coffin, but somehow I teed it up for her perfectly that I was in the fetal position. She's in the fetal position in the other way, and heel kick backwards, perfect shot. I mean, balls, asshole, tank, just all in one. Dude, like waking up like that, like at first it's just like ready to fight. You kicked me in the asshole. Oh, and then like that like sickness in the stomach kicked in. It's like, and my balls. You kicked me in my asshole, my balls. And then like, ooh, that was disgusting. And I like, fall through that weird like stomach sickness and got back to sleep. And then it hit me at like 10 o'clock this morning once she was already gone. Like, hey, remember when you kicked me in the balls in the middle of the night? And she goes, oh, I had a dream that there was a monster. It was totally justified in girl mind. This is the second time that I've been assaulted in the middle of the night. The first time was and it was like I was so dead asleep that I almost forgot about it, that I woke up to like a perfect shot to the solar plexus. Her accuracy is phenomenal for somebody that doesn't do violence. Like, I mean, she's 2 for 2 of perfect kill shots. And I mean, dude, and it was like a karate chop hammer fist that she was dead asleep and she just went over, but just for unbraced solar plexus. And that time it was like the next night. It was like, I think you fucking karate chopped me in the solar plexus last night. And she starts dying laughing, and she's like, oh yeah, you're being an asshole in my sleep, in my dream. Like, so she's got one more. And, you get 3, baby girl. Or no, you get 2 free ones. That third one, it's gonna be time to pay the piper. Somebody's getting snuck into sleep. Gonna feel these hands. But oh, and speaking of dreams and nightmares, I have possibly the weirdest reaction, not an allergy, but a reaction to food that I don't know of anybody else that has this, but pork gives me nightmares. And I see your face. And like I figured it out. I mean, it was probably like 15 years ago that I figured it out, because I always loved, when I was coaching, I would eat breakfast. Like I would do comedy at night, get like 5 hours of sleep, coach an early morning practice, get breakfast, go back to sleep for a few hours. And I eventually put it together that when I got a slice of ham with my eggs, I had like the worst, it's more like, it's not night terrors, but it's vividly bad, very negative dreams, but like realistically bad. Like bombing a set in front of like people who like matter to me for 8 hours, right? Like it's that weird level of just like very believable, shitty dream. And but also it's like, it's been so long since I've had pork that I started to kind of like doubt it. And I was like, maybe it wouldn't be that bad. And I had some at Easter, and I immediately just had like the worst dreams ever. And then the next night got kicked in the asshole. So my sleep is off to a rambling start. Yeah. Have you ever heard of anything like that, by the way?
No, I'm not a ham or pork guy myself. The only type I can eat without getting sick is pulled pork. So like ham, bacon, anything else will make me food poisoningly like ill.
Really?
Yeah, it's nuts. But I've never had nightmares because of it.
Okay.
Unless if the nightmare was like, you're going to throw up.
Yeah. So you're a throw up guy.
Yeah, I do throw up a lot.
So a couple weeks ago when you were throwing up, this was not an outlier. This Subway food poisoning?
That was an outlier in the sense that it was like multiple. There will be mornings where I'll have a stuffy nose and too much mucus will end up in my stomach, and I'll just start my day with a nice puke. But like,
What?
I'm not saying I'm a healthy guy, Richie.
How many times a week? How many times a year do you think you throw up?
Maybe 12, like once a month.
Once a month, throwing
Maybe.
up.
Yeah, I don't know.
How often? How often is it food related, and how often is it this weird mucus pooling?
So like when the seasons change and I get super congested, I'll usually get one mucus related throw up, and then other times it's just kind of you ate too much or something along those lines.
Dude, so you're throwing up snot.
Yeah, it's like clear jelly shit. It's terrible.
Hey, have you ever talked to a doctor about this, Bobby?
My parents are doctors, but we don't really talk.
But are they those kind of doctors?
No, I mean I probably should at some point, but just tough it out, right? I made it this far.
Sure. Yeah. I feel like that's a totally manageable situation that'll probably go away all on its own.
Yeah, stomach cancer usually goes that route.
a guy that he wasn't on my boat, but he was on the team at Penn. This dude, I mean, he was definitely a very active alcoholic / athlete, but like, he was good for probably 440s a night type of dude. And he pretty much, I think he might have thrown up every day, but also, but that was because he was like waking up from a shitty hangover and like knew he had to go to practice or something. So injustice stuff talking. So he would just like pull the trigger to get it out of the way. But he also, I guess, all that puking gave him a bad stomach. It gave him like bad nerves, and this dude would like cartoonishly throw up when he was nervous. So we would be at like Cornell or Princeton or something like that to race them, and it's like an intense atmosphere, and it's like dudes are like going over strategy and shit like that and getting focused, and you would just hear booming through the boathouses. And like it was, I mean, like there's no way that's one of the few sounds that it's like, oh, I know exactly what that is. Like there's no ambiguity at all. And like they must have thought that there was somebody just like violently, deathly sick. And I was like, no, that's just Balak. This is his thing. So that it was like the guys on his team, like if he didn't fucking spend 20 minutes throwing up, they'd be like, wait, like there's a glitch in the matrix here. Like I don't think we can't go out yet. This dude's not ready.
Psychological warfare too, to hear your opponent just puke for 20 minutes straight and then come out and be like, let's do this.
Oh, absolutely. That was actually my favorite thing to do on starting lines, just as a joke, because they were always such an intense place. Because, like, you're just sitting there. It's just like two boats next to each other, and sometimes it's 6 across. But it's way too serious, way too tense, and it's way too long of a process that sometimes it can be like 10 minutes while you're just sitting there, like, kind of getting blown around by the wind. But I would feign a coughing fit for as long as possible until guys on my boat were just all cracking up, and they'd like get it as close to the wire as possible and then go. But it just anything to distract the other team is basically what I was doing. But oh yeah, so we went to. Am I still trying to tell you what I did this weekend? We're 18 minutes in. Fucking weirdo. But yeah, so we spent Easter at Lisa's brothers, and great family, great people. Very fun thing is that all of his friends, like 5 dudes in his neighborhood, have gout. Like, it's such a weird thing to like. It just for a neighborhood to have King's disease basically is just so fucking bizarre. But also, all we ever do when we're there is eat red meat and cheese. So, and then his buddies all go hard on the booze, and he doesn't. So that's probably what puts him over. You know anybody that's had gout?
No, only Anthony Cumia. Other than that, I've never met anybody with gout.
Wonder how he got it.
He might be the king.
I had a buddy that had it back in Philly. This guy Shaggy. He was he was a boozer. He was an Irish carpenter, and he would be laid up in bed for like 10 days at a clip, and it was the calciums in his legs were so pain, like the calcium crystal things were so painful that he couldn't have a sheet over his legs without it. Like he said, he said his sheet felt like fire. It was on top, and especially if anything touched his toe, it was just like fucking like 10 out of 10 pain. The dude would spend like 2 weeks off, and then he'd be able to walk around, and he would make it like 5 days, and then like Friday night he would wind up at the bar and go immediately back to having gout. It's like the craziest alcoholic cycle ever. But I had a thing. So this is why I brought up the. There's some reason to this. The Easter thing was that had a game changer of a white trash delicacy, Robert. Game changer.
Now you've got my attention.
Flaming Peeps. Have you heard of this?
No, enlighten me.
Buddy, you take a peep, right? The staler the better, which across the board, Peeps are better stale. Put a skewer up that thing's ass. Flamethrower, or just torch of any kind, and the sugar on the outside caramelizes, and it turns it into absolute white trash creme brulee on a stick. It will change your shit, dude.
That does sound pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy some Peeps after this.
We're gonna have a field trip. I feel like you already have ample flamethrowers for some reason.
Oh yeah, I just need Peeps.
Just marked in a closet that says war. But yeah, sticking with Easter, I was also reminded that I had my acting debut as Jesus Christ in the Elizabeth Ann Seton Church Stations of the Cross. When I was in seventh grade, it was like all pulled from my CCD class, and which is basically kind of grown-er kids Sunday school for those that don't know. Right? That's a good description of CCD.
Yeah, it's perfect.
What's that shit stand for? Catholic something?
Something. Catholicism something development.
Man, what if I had a producer that could Google it? Wouldn't that be neat?
That would be awesome.
It's just gonna come back that Fauci's the head of it. But at any rate, the first year that I did it, I was the narrator of it, which was extra funny because what do you got?
We would not have guessed this. It's the Confraternity of Christian Doctrine.
What?
Because it was
That's Catholic CCD?
Yep, that was established in Rome in 1562 as the education plan.
Wow. I feel like there has to be an updated anagram for that. Than confraternity. Actually, on the other hand, dude, our parents went to church. My parents, anyway, went to church as kids, listening to Latin.
Yeah,
until like the mid '60s or some shit, it was just Latin. But as if you couldn't like drive people away any harder, like, let's do the whole fucking thing in Latin. But oh yeah, so when I was the narrator of it, it there was I definitely know there was some nuns crying in the front, but I was narrating the Stations of the Cross, and my voice is cracking and shit because I'm in 7th grade. And then next year I got the promotion, baby. Jesus, dream role for the kid. And if there are any non-Catholics out there that haven't been through this very weird tradition, they basically, so the Stations of the Cross, what is it, 13 Stations of the Cross, I think, that it's basically Mel Gibson fantasy camp that the kids from Sunday school put on a cute little play that's a reenactment of the torture of Jesus, and it goes all the way around the all the way around the whole church, and then straight down the middle. Did you ever act in this thing?
No,
Bobby?
I had to be a narrator twice. And
Oh,
then,
yeah?
I was like,
They used you for your pipes?
and then I was what was called an MC, so I got to burn the incense like all throughout high school. And the church down the road got busted because they thought they were buying weed because all this dried herb was coming to them. So we had to like be super careful about what we used.
It's hilarious. But so so like the natural thing is like, all right, all the big kids in the class are going to be the Roman guards, and complete with like shitty togas and the Marvin the Martian helmet that was literally like a Clorox bleach helmet sprayed gold, and then with like a fucking scouring pad mohawk down it. So there's like 6 of those dudes. There was Mary, who was a cute chick in the class. There's also fine ass Mary Magdalene, who could still get it. And so you have to go all the way around. And so at this point, I'm like, dude, I mean, in 8th grade, at the most, I weighed 70 pounds. And it's a legit, like, 8 to 10 foot cross, like a big ass wooden cross that they have. So, the acting notes are like, yeah, pretend like you're struggling with this thing. Your boy is legitimately struggling, fucking hauling this thing around. And the Roman soldiers, they're like, like whenever he stops, like give him a nudge. These were absolutely just bullies. So I would take a knee to get like a real break, and I'm getting a kick in the ass from like the fucking football team guys. Keep it moving, Jesus. So I'm stumbling all over the church with this thing. And the only part that we didn't rehearse was the actual hanging. Right, because
that's the least important part. You don't need to make sure you get that right.
Yeah. Well, no, like we did it as it was like practice putting you up type thing, and which was fine at the time because there was handles on it that weren't there the day of, and whoever played Jesus before me was way taller. So there's just foot pegs on this thing, and then there's like the handles that aren't there. So they like tied me down, and somebody has like a big ass hammer, and they come over, and I'm like laying down, and dude, there's not a dry eye in the place when we're doing it this time, right? And the kid with the big wooden hammer, he's just hitting the cross, but I've got to like jump every time. And I'm really fucking doing it up. And then they put me up, and like I immediately realized that the handles are too far, and like the little foot platform is too far. So I'm on tippy toes and like fingertips, and I could do it way longer now as an adult with some kind of upper body strength. At the time, 0 upper body strength. I have to be completely pitting this blue shirt out. Good call for the Jesus fucking reenactment, asshole. need that Axe body spray. But dude, so I'm on. It's like toe in front of toe. I'm doing a ballet move and like reaching for these things. So and they said they were gonna keep me up there for like a couple of minutes and then take me down. So I'm legitimately like shaking in pain, trying to hold on to this thing in front of all these people. And, I've got the crown of thorns, the whole nine. And also the sheer terror of being a completely underdeveloped kid who has not gone through puberty, that's just in a loincloth, half naked in church in front of his entire community and just trying not to fall off this fucking cross. That's all that mattered, dude. It's like, if I fell off the cross, it's like just talk about breaking the fourth wall, right? If Jesus, like, wait a second, this kid's not nailed to that thing at all. But, oh my God, dude. I so specifically remember that there was a couple of nuns that came up to me afterwards and just like, they like put hands on me, like, you're anointed. Like, I was the smallest kid. That was the only, I had the ribs for it. Like, they always just picked the skinniest kid in the fucking class. And that was me this time. But yeah, that's my acting debut story, Robert.
And why you became a comedian, I'm guessing. You can
I mean,
handle Jesus not falling off the cross. You can handle a heckler.
Yeah. I suppose so. But I tell you who doesn't do any bullshit, if you can pull up that next thing we got on the document there. Filipinos do not fuck around. I don't know if I've revealed to you how fascinated I am by Filipino culture. When they do the Stations of the Cross, what they do is nail some motherfuckers to a cross. This had gone away. If anything, really, if there's one bad outcome of the pandemic, it would have been this tradition going away for 3 years as a result of the coronavirus. In San Pedro Cudud, Philippines, 8 Filipinos were nailed to crosses to reenact Jesus Christ's suffering in a bloody Good Friday tradition. It's a bloody Good Friday. In a bloody Good Friday tradition, including a carpenter who was crucified for the 34th time with a prayer for the Russian invasion to end because it made poor people like him more desperate. Yeah, a dozen people. So what's even more bizarre about the whole thing is that, like, it would make sense if it was like just 3 people maybe, but 8. Because, like, you know, there was 3 people on the cross. There was the 2 other guys up there while Jesus was also hanging out. But nobody goes harder than these dudes. But here's the oh yeah, so the Philippines. So what's his name? Bongo, I think, is the new president of the Philippines. Directly asked this town not to do it anymore. The Vatican directly asked this town not to do it, and you just can't keep these people from nailing each other to crosses because they go so fucking hard, dude. Whatever it is, Filipinos go hard. And but here's a so but it's also, what's so bizarre about it is that this spectacle now has like tourism around it. And there's a quote from Kitty Ennett, a veterinarian from Ireland, said the crucifixions were a very religious experience and they were worth a long trip from her home in the United Kingdom. And here's the quote. When I see the young man doing the flogging and going up to the cross, it's very moving to see how much they sacrifice for their faith. They really put themselves in the shoes of Jesus. This bitch went from Ireland to watch people fucking nail each other to crosses. If that's not absolutely some kind of insane Catholic fetish, I don't know what is. Right? Like, dude, there's there's secondary, if not tertiary motives behind going into the middle of the fucking jungle to watch somebody get nailed to a cross. You were a creep, and Kitty, and it just realized Kitty is a veterinarian. But so that also reminded me of one of the greatest stories. But also, Kitty, you could have just gone to see a kid with no pubes pretend to get nailed to a cross. This stank bitch has to go all the way into the Philippines, the middle of nowhere, try to find some 90-day fiance. Fucking freak.
I don't know if that's impressive, Richie. My uncle was repairing his motor on his go-kart, and he gave himself the stigmata for Easter.
Oh, there you go. Did your mother like call the Vatican and do all the deals?
No, he just said maybe it was God's response to him not going to church and trying to repair the go-kart. That Catholic guilt, it's hard to override.
Does he have a son?
Yeah, it's like a sprint car.
Okay.
They race it on the weekends or something. I don't know. They're a little more redneck than I am.
That sounds fun. That one of my biggest takeaways from the Koresh thing was they've got go-karts. The ATF agent rolled off the roof, halfway dead, landed on the go-karts. Like, maybe this guy really is the scion. But the Filipino thing reminded me of one of the greatest stories that I've ever heard. Nothing's more exciting than a secondhand story. Am I right, folks? There's this guy so no secret. I do some group therapy stuff, right? And the stories in there are phenomenal. And there was this dude who's an actor that he said he was part of he has the dubious distinction of being part of one of the worst movies ever made. And it was a Vietnam vet movie, but it was set in the Philippines. And like throughout the 80s, there was some kind of civil war going on there, that there was rebels and shit. It's how ISIS kind of still weaves its way in there. But he was drunk on set. Well, he was drunker than, they were all drunk on set. He was the drunkest on set and was told that he was too drunk to work that day. So he storms off in a blaze of FUs, and he's pushing through, jungle shit, and he's halfway through this field, and he hears over the loudspeaker, "Jay, stop walking immediately. You are in a minefield." And what he didn't realize in his drunken anger haze was that he walked directly past a big fucking sign that said "Do not enter rebel territory." And they had while they were there, they had government troops that were protecting them and stuff, because it could pop off at any minute. So so he stops, and they're like, "Retrace your steps exactly." So a crew of 40 people winds up watching this guy who's shit-faced, trying to remember exactly where he stepped. And it's just one step at a time. Dude, it's like a life or death every single step. And 40 people are watching it, just, and he finally hits it, and the place just goes fucking bananas for him. And he had both of his legs when he told me that story. So let's assume that that he did it impeccably well. But is that fucking insane?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Talk about a literal example of your anger leading to bad things.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely the intersection of alcoholism and anger, for sure. Because if you were just mad and stormed off into a field, it would be damn near impossible to figure out where you were. But drunk and mad, not a chance, dude. Did I ever tell you about the world's most dangerous golf course?
No.
And when I did a tour, like a military tour in South Korea for the entertaining the troops stuff, and most of at least at the time, now it's probably a little bit more tense, but 10 years ago it was like most of them can't even tell you what they're doing there, like especially if you're way down south. They're like, I mean, dude, it's like the B-roll from Top Gun. These dudes are all playing volleyball. They're fucking backward high-fiving each other and shit. Like, they literally could not tell you what they're doing. But we did, like, I think we did 10 shows, and the other 9 shows, the first 9 were all, the ones that aren't doing shit. And they all tell us, like, dude, when you get up north, you gotta ask them about the world's most dangerous golf course. Must have had 15 or 20 guys be like, because like I always talk to these dudes to find out like the inside scoop,
Yeah, you gotta learn the fun stuff.
Yeah, the not fun stuff was that on for the base TV, like they've got their own like little built-in cable channel. Literally every other commercial was, if you've been sexually assaulted by your bunkmate, you can tell, because because apparently there was an epidemic of man-on-man sexual assault that didn't get reported, and they would just kill the guy. So so they're trying to stop the murders and the other thing, but. At any rate, they keep telling us that. So the last show is at Camp Boniface, and like I said, everybody else is chilling, but there's like 18 guys out of thousands of 35,000 troops or some shit like that are in Korea. 18 of them have to be at Camp Boniface, which is on the actual 38th parallel, right? And so there's 35,000 minus 18, all having a good time, and then 18 that get sent to a nuclear hostile border, right? And the reason that it's called Camp Boniface is because there was a soldier, he was some ranking officer actually, that that got like hatcheted to death, because the North Koreans in like the 60s and 70s, they had these troops that this is a whole episode to do on these guys one of these days, but they tunneled under the 38th parallel, which is like hundreds of yards, and they popped up in the middle of the night and just fucking shovel killed one guy, and then they got like machine gunned or whatever. And his last name was Boniface. So they're under a constant reminder that like this is a seriously hostile situation, right? And of the 10 shows that we did, like 7 of them were really fun, and then this one was the last one. And what we learned very quickly was that if the commanding officers are there, it's way less fun. And for this one, not only was the commanding officer there, but they were also all in uniform, which means less fun. And the whole fucking base is dry. And it might be because of what I'm about to tell you. So we do the show, and it goes just shit. It's just a bad show. But it's in like their version of a clubhouse. It's like your like most broke friend's parents' basement. Right? There's no Nintendo, there's no it just stinks, right? So but the guys are still super cool, and they're glad to see anybody other than the 18 of them and the South Koreans that they're constantly like giving input to. So there's a bunch of them around, and I was like, "So, dude, what's up with the world's most dangerous golf course?" And you hear a glass drop, and they like, I mean, dudes literally just fucking just pull one of these and just start like, just like meander away. And I was like, "Ugh, what happened?" So, it like after that church fart goes over, one of these guys pulls me aside. He's like, "Dude, that is sensitive around here." So these other dickheads were just setting me up for weeks to step in shit. And so the world's most dangerous golf course was they had a one-hole golf course up against the 38th parallel, which is 100 yards across of minefield, right? And concertina wire, like the anti-tank shit, like it's the biggest minefield like known to man. And they so the soldiers that were there, they built it up right on this ramp. And back in the day, it was like the booziest base, right? It was like being in Siberia, basically. So they build this ramp up, and they've got a couple golf clubs up there, and they would get tanked and write, "Fuck you, Kim," whatever, on a ball, sign it, take one shitty drunk swing in the middle of the night. Satisfying. Until one day in like the late 90s, I think it was late 90s, some fucking guy, it's his turn. He's tuned up, he tees up, he's got his name on the ball, hauls off and gets one, and this ball lands directly on a landmine. And it sets off a string of explosions miles wide across the entire 38th parallel, across the entire DMZ, that could have caused a nuclear war. And they immediately go to red alert on both sides. And at the time, thank God, they had the red phone between the North and the South, so that they could talk and see what it was. And the Americans are immediately like, or the Koreans are like, "It wasn't us." They're like, "Well, it wasn't us." So they stay at red alert, but they stand down. And this poor bastard, like, they're gonna find out who it was, right? So like, I don't know if he wound up in the brig or whatever, but dude, could you imagine taking that swing? Like, there's one man in the world ever that knows what it's like to take a swing and just set off the craziest string of explosions in the world. And dude, what's extra scary about it is that if it happened now, there is no red phone. That was one of the things that went away during the Bush years. So now you just have a nuclear war. That's it. Well, actually, it wouldn't even be a nuclear war. They have so many missiles that could just hit Seoul. They would just lob 500 missiles at the same time at Seoul. Like, you don't need nukes, right? If you just fuck up enough stuff. But yeah, that's one of the craziest places I've ever seen, for sure. And it's called the Joint Security Area, the JSA. It's the have you ever seen this thing? It's the building.
Yeah.
You can pull it up. Yeah, pull it up. It's the building that is on the actual 38th parallel, and it's like, on this side of the building you're in North Korea, this side you're on South Korea, and there's a line down the middle. And it's the weirdest part is that there's soldiers there all the time. So like, their job, like, from each side, so their job during their patrol is to sit there and stare at the guy across from them that looks strikingly like them, but either thinner or fatter. But yeah, inside these buildings, you can get, there's a tour that you can do that go, there's one that goes, so like, that's the line. There's an actual building that splits that thing. and their job is just to full-time stare at each other, just wishing a motherfucker would. just armed guards staring each other down for 8 hours a shift. And the joke is that there's two North Koreans for every one South Korean, and it's because they have to shoot the North Korean has to shoot the guy if he tries to defect. But all right, moving along, Bobby. We would be remiss if we did not talk about the llama. Did you see your boy the llama?
Yeah, I saw. This is terrible.
Why? What do you have wrong with it?
I just, even though I'm a Catholic, I don't think you should kiss boys.
That is extremely judgmental on your part, but okay. Dude, can you play it right now? Well, yeah, so he gives him the chance. At first, when he puts it out, it goes towards him. The kid's like, and he just keeps fucking coming with that 87-year-old mouth. Yeah. You got it? That's not the one.
All right, I'll keep looking. That was the only video I saw in the article.
No, it's right at the top. It's like a GIF, basically. But at any rate, the apology was so much funnier because the apology was like the Dalai Lama's words hurt some people, and for that we would like to apologize, or he would like to apologize. Like, words, bro? Does anybody give a fuck about his words? He claimed the leader was simply joking around. Dude. And I mean, if it is joking around, it's basically Biden's bad touch on all the steroids, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just so many steroids that he's on with that shit. Don't worry about it. You can just put the picture up of it. But yeah, the llama apologized after kissing young boy in the lips and asking the child to suck his tongue. But like, that's that to me is like Michael Jackson level shit, where it's like there's dozens of other old men that are standing. You can see all these dudes that are sitting around watching this. None of them give a like like there's not one little throat clear of like, hey, let's ixnay on the untuck say. But and what's even crazier about it is also this past weekend, apparently the llama claimed or picked the next llama. Did you see that?
No, I thought they had to die first.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of those things. I don't know if they die, but no, like they name them when they're really young. So they name this next kid who's going to be this it's a Mongolian kid that's actually U.S. born, and he's got super rich parents, which seems weird unto itself. But imagine being the kid that sucked the llama's tongue and then finding out you don't get next llama. Like, if anything, it feels like that should be the bait. Like, hey, kid, want to be the llama? Suck it. Suck my llama tongue. It'd be funnier if he spit right in his face. Like, I'm the llama. What are you going to do? This is my birthday. This is my birthday.
Llama spit?
Yeah. But, so the picking of the llama thing, I think we're probably going to get out on this, is I always have 40 minutes more shit than we need. If we ever get a Patreon going, it's going to be pretty easy to cover the content, I think, because I'm a little long-winded. But the picking of the llama reminded me of the Haile Selassie. Ring bells?
No, enlighten me.
Yeah, funny you would put it that way. So, if you ever heard it before, oh, that's a good graphic to put up right there. If if you have heard of the Haile Selassie, it's probably from Bob Marley songs. Right? There's like Jah Rastafari in the name of the Haile Selassie the first, and so it's the same thing. You can pull him down, but he's supposed to be this scion of Rastafarianism, and well, first of all, Rastafarianism is, it's like we always think like, oh yeah, cool runnings, like Rastas, peace and love. It is the most hardcore racist religion in the world. It also allows for you to get fucked up, but it's also extremely racist. So it's like Jah is like the one true God, right? And they believe in Zion, which is like their utopia, that they're gonna get delivered to the utopia by the Haile Selassie. And this is my no research, and and they and they're going to be delivered from Babylon, which it's the same language as the Koresh shit, if you'll recall, right? It's like the whores of Babylon stuff, but Babylon is basically just a shorthand for the white world, and in order to get to Zion, it calls for the destruction of the white race and the JOOs in particular. But it's all the same shit that it's an offshoot of the Ethiopian Semite stuff, which is like why Kanye thinks that it's impossible for him to be anti-Semitic because he's a Semite, but also we need to destroy Babylon. Little dicey there, Kanye, little dicey. But so they had been forever all throughout the 60s when like 50s and 60s when the Rasta stuff really kicked up. They started talking about the return of the Selassie, and they think he's believed to be the son of King Solomon, or a descendant of King Solomon and Queen of Sheba, right? So the lineage is fucking sweet, but it's this Ethiopian king that's like when he's born, it's like this huge deal, and it's like the coming of the Selassie. And it's supposed to be, so it's very much the whole thing is tied in with like the Marcus Garvey back to Africa stuff. So it's so weird of how it's like the horseshoe of racism, that it's like like they all kind of want the same thing, and with the JOOs as the enemy somehow. But it's like, dude, you're all just you're taking their book and just changing this shit for yourselves to make you the chosen people, and you need an enemy, so you're just making it them. But at any rate, the Selassie is born, and yeah, that guy there, I should have put video of it. So it's this huge deal in 1966 that the Haile Selassie goes to Jamaica, right? And they're literally thinking, there's this magical thinking of maybe smoking a little too much grass, that the Selassie is going to like take them directly to Zion, which they're kind of, the word on the street is like, we're all going to Ethiopia. Like, we're just going to fucking leave Jamaica. And he shows up, and the plane can barely land because there's so many people on the like they rush the tarmac as this guy goes, right? And they're expecting when he gives this big ass speech that it's supposed to be like him telling them like they're all welcome in Ethiopia and it's open borders, open borders, and he's basically like, stop worshiping me. I'm Christian. The Jews didn't do anything wrong, right? So, and they're like, so like somebody directly asked him about like returning to Africa, and he's like, yeah, you can't come. Like, it was straight up like you've never seen like just an entire mythology crash and burn in front of their believers faster than this guy. That is like, yeah, y'all ain't coming. I don't know if you heard, but Ethiopia, we kind of got a food problem right now. Huh? Stay your ass here. So it's the biggest letdown ever. And this is in '66, right? And Marley's still on stage singing about fucking the Selassie, the emperor returning and all this shit. He's talking about the Lion of Zion. That's him. And it's 7 years after he was like, nah, like stop doing this shit. You are not coming to my country. We are not feeding all you crazy hatchet wielding or machete wielding motherfuckers. So, and the craziest part about it is that not only did they keep worshiping him during his life, even though he directly said not to, there was also people like, I think he died like early 80s, and there's people that kept worshiping dude because they didn't just think they actually thought he was going to be the second coming, and that was why the real worship was. I probably should have gotten that at the beginning, and then he did the thing like our boy Father Divine also did not come back from the dead. Also like David Koresh, you gotta come back from the dead. And these people kept fucking worshiping the guy, right? Like it was the Rastas. Like Rasta has changed. I've heard, that it's still it's less religious and it's more of a spiritual thing, and like Afrocentric, which have at it. That's great, good. But once the scion dies, doesn't come back, but also tells you stop worshiping. It's just the cognitive dissonance is just unbelievable, and it reminds me, if anything, of Q right now. That the Q balls are still going, dude. And like, I was listening to a bunch of shit. I like checked in on a bunch of shit posters about the QAnon stuff, and it's like, people still think that they're posting all this crazy like cryptic stuff, and they still think that Trump getting arrested is part of the plan that's going to lead to the storm, because you got to arrest him first so he can normalize it, so that we can then get Hillary, and then we get Obama, and then we send everybody to Gitmo, even though Americans have never been sent to Gitmo, and then the fucking pedophiles and blah blah. Like, oh god damn, it drives me fucking crazy. But it is very fun to watch people tie themselves into knots like this. And all right, I think I've ranted long enough. Bobby, I have a need for constant validation. Was this a good one?
I think this was a great one.
Okay.
And I'm going to go buy some peeps.
Dude, you got to take a torch to them shits. I'm telling you, it will change your whole fucking life. Your whole peeps life is going to change today. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Bobby still swears that we're going to get this up as a podcast. I don't know how to do it, so I'm just going to do my silly little part. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. You are true believers right now if you're watching when nobody else is. I wish you guys had more friends. I really do. Or if everybody that watches could somehow watch it 30,000 times and leave and leave 10,000 comments apiece, get some burner accounts. I don't care what you have to do to push this algorithm, baby. But let's get really real with Richie Redding out there. I'm having a ton of fun doing it. Bobby, thank you so much, man. You're absolutely the best for helping me to do this. And look forward to building something with you guys. So,
In a world that's been kicked in the nuts by fake news, nobody knows what to believe.
I don't know what I said.
We need one Maverick newsman to cut through all the noise and tell us what's really real.
I'm not that guy.